not overly concerned, just mildly curious about the state of things before a busy week kicks off. Your eyes land on the XRP chart and something feels off. Or more accurately, something feels like it's slipping away unnoticed. What most won't realize until it's too late is that XRP might quietly disappear from major trading platforms. And by the time the community wakes up to this, the metaphorical shelves could already be bare. Rewind to a time when XRP broke past the $3 mark in January, a moment that sparked excitement and had crypto enthusiasts pacing like gamers, uncovering a secret stage in a retro console game. Since then, though, it's felt as if that thrilling momentum stalled halfway through its ascent, like a rocket suspended midair, hovering around the $2 zone. The sentiment now feels split down the middle, some brushing it off as just another correction, while others quietly wonder if that was the last hurrah. But before anyone decides to write XRP off, there's a compelling argument that deserves attention. There's a growing belief that what's approaching isn't a mild supply dip, but a full-blown scarcity event where the token supply runs dry in the blink of an eye. This isn't just speculation for the distant future. Some suggest that by the end of this decade, possibly even sooner, we could be looking at an XRP landscape fundamentally altered by a serious reduction in available tokens. To illustrate this, consider an analogy. Walking into your favorite sneaker store expecting new stock on release day, only to find empty shelves and a lonely child-sized pair on display. You ask where the inventory went, and the response is a casual shrug. Everything's already claimed and no one's planning to resell. That's essentially what happens in crypto during a supply shock. There aren't enough tokens circulating for new buyers to grab. So when demand rises even a little, the price rockets as if it's been lit by jet fuel. The concept isn't new. We've seen it with Bitcoin, where ETFs gobbled up massive quantities of coins, causing liquidity to vanish from the market faster than supply could be replenished. Now apply the same template to XRP, a token that isn't producing new coins and burns a fraction of each coin with every transaction. It's like a tiny bit of wealth vanishing into thin air every time someone hits send. On paper, those tiny fractions might seem insignificant, but compounded over millions and billions of transfers, the effect becomes monumental. Let's zoom into some relevant figures. There has been a notable drop in XRP held by one of the largest exchanges, a difference of over 80 million coins since the start of the year. On its own, that might not seem massive, but small drips can overflow bathtubs if left alone. And what's more intriguing is that at the height of XRP's rally in January, exchange wallets briefly swelled with over 3 billion coins as holders moved tokens in to cash out. But since then, as prices cooled off, the tokens steadily flowed back out, likely into cold wallets, private storage, or long-term custody setups. From that January peak, nearly 200 million coins have vanished from just one major exchange's reserves. If this pace continues, we could see the total number drop below 2 billion on that platform alone before the decade ends. Now imagine this same trend playing out across other exchanges globally. Suddenly, what sounded like an exaggerated forecast starts to feel like a plausible scenario. As supply dries up, so does liquidity. When liquidity is thin, even modest market orders can create wild price movements, sending the token soaring or diving with very little resistance. That's why even small changes in availability can result in dramatic swings, much like how a seesaw with a sumo wrestler on one side and a child on the other would be hilariously unbalanced. Back in Bitcoin's early days, a single $10,000 order could shift the entire market. And while the scale has changed, the basic principle remains the same. But to trigger explosive price growth, you need more than just supply constraints. You need a compelling reason for people to buy, a narrative. And for XRP, the story rests on 3 pillars: usefulness, legal clarity, and scarcity. In terms of functionality, XRP plays a major role in cross-border transactions, offering fast and cost-effective transfers, a feature that makes it appealing to financial institutions seeking efficient payment rails. The regulatory climate has also slowly moved toward greater clarity. While challenges remain, many see the legal fog lifting, opening the door to increased adoption by cautious investors and large entities. Then comes scarcity, driven by the slow but relentless burn of tokens and the mass movement of holdings into private storage. Some believe an ETF approval, if it happens, would ignite demand even further. The moment a major financial institution decides to get involved, the market could respond with swift and aggressive buying, not because of hype, but due to the very real supply imbalance. And as every transaction continues to trim the total supply, we creep toward a future where XRP might not be easily accessible anymore. This isn't theoretical, it's the math at work. Every token moved to cold storage, every coin lost to transaction burns, every locked-up institutional purchase. They all slowly reduce the available pool. Even the behavior of retail investors is changing. More and more people are adopting self-custody practices, withdrawing tokens from exchanges to secure them offline. As more users opt to hold rather than trade, the liquidity on public markets shrinks, creating an environment where sudden demand spikes can send prices rocketing without warning. If everyone's chasing a limited number of tokens at once, the bidding war begins, and things get wild. This doesn't even account for institutional partnerships, which could act as a massive catalyst. If XRP becomes the backbone for major cross-border payment systems in regions like Asia or the Middle East, the transactional volume alone could burn through remaining supplies at an accelerated rate. As regulation becomes more defined in different jurisdictions, adoption could snowball, with XRP positioned not just as a speculative asset, but as a functional utility within real-world financial systems. Of course, there are potential roadblocks. If synthetic financial products like futures or tokenized funds flood the market, they could temporarily soak up demand without actually reducing physical supply. But history suggests that sooner or later, actual settlement drains real inventory. Much like paper gold didn't eliminate demand for physical bullion, derivatives may increase volatility but can't prevent scarcity from biting eventually. If anything, they create a false sense of security, until the squeeze becomes undeniable. If bullish forces align, like high-profile partnerships, favorable regulations, growing transaction volumes, and rising self-custody rates, then even a price corridor in the high double digits becomes less far-fetched. It may sound extreme today, but so did the idea of Ethereum surpassing $4,000 during its early development stages. The market has a way of exceedingly even the most optimistic forecasts when the right factors converge. Picture late 2029. Headlines blaring about halted XRP deposits due to dried-up exchange liquidity, social media in chaos, and neighbors who once mocked crypto now knocking on your door asking about Ripple. Those who prepared in advance, who held their supply safely away from exchanges, suddenly find themselves in an enviable position. Still, the future isn't guaranteed. Regulatory actions could still tighten the screws. Ripple's network could face competition from other blockchain-based payment systems, including central bank digital currencies. Retail investors may shift attention to newer, shinier tokens fueled by meme culture or artificial scarcity. But all investing involves weighing risks against rewards. From today's standpoint, the upside for XRP, should these conditions align, remains significant. The worst-case scenario? A stagnating price and sideways movement that tests your patience. The best-case scenario? A price surge fueled by scarcity, institutional adoption, and a compelling narrative. All while you sit comfortably, holding what others now scramble to buy. This isn't about offering financial advice. It's about understanding the deeper mechanics at play. You don't need to chase price pumps with desperation, but being informed, prepared, and aware of market dynamics puts you in a position of strength. No one can predict with certainty what tomorrow will bring, but knowledge and preparation are often the best insurance. Watch the data, not the noise. As reserves dwindle, every token moved out of public circulation becomes more meaningful, more strategic, and potentially more valuable.